difficult for people to find these parts, and it's prohibitively expensive. So I think it is important, in fact, that we take a look at it and say, for this year of vehicle, we should, again, exempt them as it was before automatically. One. And secondly, and I think that this is just as important, most of these vehicles, if they last this long, it's because they've been well taken care of and they haven't had many miles. So people have taken these cars and they've really taken care of them. So I think it is important to say, okay, they were able to squeeze a few more years out of these vehicles because they took care of them, and probably because they don't have a lot of money. Otherwise, they'd buy a new car, unless they were a collector. So I think, again, it's an important break that you would give them to allow them to maintain these vehicles a little longer. If they were gross polluters, the gross polluters law still exists. You can pull them off at any time if they're gross polluters. That's not the case with most cars. In fact, they're well maintained. That's why they've been able to last so long. So again, I would urge you, from a district that's poor, that has a number of people who can't afford to buy new cars, to take a look at this bill and vote for it.
Other witnesses in support.
My name is Rex Roden. I'm with the Association of California Car Clubs. We urge an aye vote on this bill basically because we are collectors of automobiles, the old cars, and we can tell you that we don't drive them very often where they're very well maintained. That's the one side of this bill that I think is something that you should consider. The other side is just the vehicle miles traveled of these the vehicles, not only the collector cars but the other vehicles as well, is just insignificant. We attended, the ACCC attended the IMRC, the Inspection, Maintenance, and Review Committee meeting last November. The last meeting they had was the final meeting they had, and I just want to read you something that came out of their 32-page report. It was a paragraph that reads basically like this: although some argue that pre-76 model year vehicles also contribute to significant emissions, the reality is that this portion of the fleet has very low vehicle miles traveled, VMT, fraction of the overall fleet. As a result, the cumulative emissions from these vehicles is probably insignificant. I would submit to you that not only are the pre-76 emissions insignificant, but newer vehicles, which would be 77, 78, 79, and 80, are also insignificant as far as pollution is concerned. So I would urge an aye vote on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members, Chuck Cole on behalf of the Specialty Equipment Market Association. I had helped with the original rolling exemption legislation, and our purpose back then was to make sure that we had any class of vehicles that was going to be exempted would be reducing the cost of the overall program while not losing appreciable emission reductions. This particular group of cars had a very small percentage failure rate. It was about 29%, which amounted to about 21,000 vehicles out of the 27 million vehicles in California. I think it's important to note that the high passage rate, the 70%, 71%, is actually due to the fact that many of those are older collector cars that are very well maintained. And I think it's important for us to understand that after the scrappage program, the cost of used cars went up dramatically in California for folks. It was a remarkable increase. It's hard to find older cars to sell even in the used car market now. This is one economic cost to folks who are unable to afford the newer cars, and we would hope that you would consider the social aspect of that as well. On behalf of SEMA and its members, the collector world is a world that loves automobiles and takes very good care of them. The low mileage rate's been mentioned before, but for those reasons, I would ask for your support on this wise public policy.
Yes, my name is Bob Stearns. I'm also with the Association of California Car Clubs and also the Townsman Car Club of Sacramento. And I request an aye vote on this. I think this is be very popular with the collector car community out there, and like I can just state again that there are some of those cars that are definitely considered collector cars, and so I respectfully request an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Senator LaMalfa, do you have any statistics as to what percentage of the cars are actually owned by low-income Californians?
I'm sorry I don't have that stat at this time here, but I would say that the collector cars probably would be close to equal as it would be on low income. When I live in a rural area there, and some of the cars you see around town there are driven by folks on the lower income strata there, and they need those vehicles because making ends meet, and especially where the economy is so depressed in rural California, it is important for that, or for their kids getting to school, etc. So I would imagine that's probably slightly dominant, and these are stats we can try and turn up as we hopefully move the bill along and get that for you here. But when you're talking about the collectors, again, you heard from those folks that they are very well maintained, and when you're looking for these very specific parts, like finding a carburetor for a 76 Fiat, it's kind of a challenge, and so one that would actually fit the bill, but adapting other things or having the wherewithal to do that is very helpful. So
sounds like you've had some experience at trying to get a car part for a 76 Fiat.
I know about these things, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we'll hear from the opposition. Who would like to begin? Bonnie, you want to start?
Sure. Chairman DeSaulnier and members, Bonnie Holmes-Jen with the American Lung Association in California, and we are opposed to this bill. We are opposed to exempting any vehicles from the smog check program, especially these older vehicles that are in the highest emitting categories. California, as you know, still has some of the worst air pollution in the country, especially in the greater Los Angeles area, Central Valley, and even in the Bay Area. We still have pollution problems, and we need to do more to reach attainment. So our concern is we need to be doing more and not less. This is going in the wrong direction. Maybe the relative number of vehicles may appear small, but when you look at these very high-emitting vehicles, it's not insignificant. This is a source of pollution that is exacerbating our smog problems and leading to public health issues. For anybody that has asthma or any lung illness and lives in high-polluted areas, there's serious health issues, and there are health emergencies happening because of pollution problems. And this is something, again, we need to be doing something about, and the Smog Check program is one of our core programs in California to address vehicle emissions. So we are opposed, and I know my Air District colleague has some more details on the specific impacts with regard to this class of vehicles. Urge a no vote.
Good afternoon, Chair DeSaulnier and members. My name is Tom Addison. I'm with the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. My agency, under the leadership of our export members, like the chair in 2004, sponsored the Lieber bill that ended the rolling 30-year exemption. I wanted to share with the committee a couple of facts about 1976 to 80 vehicles. It is correct they are few in number, but the average 1976 to 80 vehicle for each mile driven puts out 829 times more reactive organic gases in NOx per mile than a 2010 vehicle. They are not driven as many miles as newer vehicles, but the mileage 76 to 80 vehicles drive is substantial. It's 2.5 million miles in California every year. So the emissions from these vehicles are substantial. They put out 24 tons every day of ozone precursors. A couple of thoughts to share with the committee. In terms of the impact of this part of the Smog Check program on lower income motorists, we have in California the Consumer Assistance Program, which has to date never been depleted for the portion of the program that pays for repairs of lower income motorists who fail the Smog Check program. If you're a lower income motorist and you fail the Smog Check program, the Consumer Assistance Program pays for your repair.